Your 40s feel invincible until they're not. One day you're crushing workouts without thinking twice. The next, you're icing your shoulder after a simple chest press. Most people treat their 40s like an extension of their 30s, ignoring the biological countdown that's already begun. Your muscle mass peaks around 35, then quietly starts disappearing. Your bone density follows. The question isn't whether you'll decline, it's whether you'll build enough reserves to coast on for the next 50 years. Here's what nobody tells you. Starting at 30, you lose roughly 1% of your muscle mass every single year. That doesn't sound dramatic until you do the math. By 50, that's 20% gone. By 70, you've lost half your strength. But that decline isn't inevitable, it's optional. The exercises you choose in your 40s determine whether you're hiking mountains at 70 or struggling with stairs. I'm going to walk you through 5 movements I wish I'd prioritized earlier. Not trendy exercises that'll be forgotten next year. These are backed by decades of research showing they protect your joints, maintain bone density, and keep you functionally strong when it matters most. Skip them, and you're gambling with your future mobility. The first exercise changes everything about how your body ages: Romanian deadlifts. Most people think deadlifts are just for powerlifters or bodybuilders chasing bigger glutes. They're missing the bigger picture. The Romanian deadlift specifically targets your posterior chain, the entire backside of your body from your calves to your upper back. These muscles control how you bend, lift, stand, and move through life. When they weaken, your body compensates with your lower back and knees, leading to the chronic pain that sidelines people in their 50s and 60s. What makes Romanian deadlifts essential in your 40s is the controlled spinal loading. That sounds counterintuitive, loading your spine to protect it, but bone density responds to stress. Your bones need resistance to stay strong. After 30, especially for women, bone density starts declining. By your 50s, that decline accelerates. Romanian deadlifts apply measured stress through your spine and hips, triggering bone-building processes that keep your skeleton robust. The movement itself is deceptively simple. You're holding a barbell or dumbbells, hinging at your hips while keeping your back flat, lowering the weight down your thighs until you feel a stretch in your hamstrings, then driving your hips forward to stand. Your knees stay slightly bent throughout. The key is that hip hinge pattern, teaching your body to move from your hips instead of rounding your lower back. Start with light weight. Seriously, your ego doesn't matter here. Grab dumbbells you could lift for 20 reps and focus entirely on feeling the stretch in your hamstrings and the squeeze in your glutes at the top. 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps twice per week. As the movement becomes natural, gradually add weight over months, not weeks. The carryover is massive. Every time you pick something off the floor, bend to tie your shoes, or lift a suitcase into an overhead bin, you're doing a variation of this pattern. Master it now with proper loading, and you're protecting your back for decades. But building a strong posterior chain is only half the equation. You need equal development in your anterior chain. And that brings us to the second exercise most people completely underestimate. Before I show you that, quick note. If you want a complete roadmap for rebuilding strength and mobility after 40, including full assessments, progressions for each exercise, and specific fixes for joint pain, I've put together a detailed guide. Links in the description below. Now, the second exercise. Push-ups. Before you roll your eyes thinking this is too basic, let me share something that'll change your perspective. A study published in JAMA Network Open followed over 1,000 firefighters for 10 years. The researchers found that men who could complete at least 11 push-ups had significantly better cardiovascular health and lower risk of heart disease compared to those who couldn't. 11 push-ups predicted heart health better than most standard tests. That's not about muscle, that's about functional capacity. Push-ups require your chest, shoulders, triceps, and core to work together while supporting your entire body weight. This integrated strength translates directly to real-world activities. Pushing yourself out of a chair, getting up from the floor, moving furniture, these all demand the same movement pattern. Most people plateau at 20 push-ups and never progress. That's the mistake. In your 40s, you still have the hormonal environment to build serious strength. Take advantage of it. Once you hit 15 clean push-ups with your chest touching the ground, start adding resistance. Throw on a weighted vest or have someone place a plate on your back. The progression matters because muscle growth requires progressive overload. Your muscles adapt to whatever stress you place on them, then they stop adapting. If you're doing the same 20 push-ups you did last year, you're maintaining at best, likely declining. Add 1 or 2 reps per week or increase the difficulty with tempo variations. Lower yourself for 4 seconds, pause at the bottom for 2, then explode up. Push-ups also protect your shoulders in ways bench pressing can't. When you bench press, your shoulder blades are pinned against the bench, restricting their natural movement. Over time, this creates impingement issues and rotator cuff problems. With push-ups, your scapulas move freely, strengthening all the small stabilizer muscles that keep your shoulders healthy. 3 sets to failure, 3 times per week. If failure means 8 reps, perfect. If it means 30, add weight. The goal is progressive challenge, not arbitrary numbers. These first 2 exercises build your foundation, the posterior and anterior chains that control how you move through space. But there's a critical component most people ignore until it's too late. And it's the difference between moving confidently at 70 versus shuffling cautiously. Single leg exercises. Your ability to balance on one foot is one of the most accurate predictors of how long you'll live. Research tracking thousands of people in their 50s found that those who couldn't hold a single leg stance for at least 10 seconds had significantly higher mortality rates over the following decade. 10 seconds. That's the difference between independence and decline. The connection isn't mysterious. Balance requires coordination between your muscular system, your vestibular system in your inner ear, and your proprioceptive feedback from joints and tendons. When any of these systems weaken, your brain compensates by limiting your movement. You start taking smaller steps, avoiding uneven surfaces, and hesitate before changing direction. This protective mechanism actually accelerates decline because you're using your body less, which makes it weaker, which makes you use it even less. Single leg work breaks this cycle. Bulgarian split squats are the gold standard. Rear foot elevated on a bench, front foot planted firmly. You descend until your back knee nearly touches the ground, then drive through your front heel to stand. Each leg works independently, exposing and correcting imbalances that bilateral exercises hide. Your dominant leg can't compensate for your weak side. Most people discover their left leg is 30% weaker than their right, or vice versa. This matters because that imbalance changes how you walk, how you climb stairs, how you absorb impact when you step off a curb. Over years, these compensation patterns create chronic issues in your hips, knees, and lower back. Start with body weight only. 3 sets of 8 reps per leg, twice weekly. The balancing component alone will challenge you initially. As this becomes manageable, hold dumbbells at your sides. The beauty of split squats is they build serious leg strength without loading your spine the way back squats do. You're getting the same quad, glute, and hamstring development, but your lower back stays neutral and protected. Single leg deadlifts add another dimension. Standing on one foot, hinge at the hip while extending your opposite leg behind you, lowering a dumbbell toward the ground. This trains the entire posterior chain while demanding stability through your ankle, knee, and hip. The balance requirement forces your smaller stabilizer muscles to activate, building resilience that prevents rolled ankles and knee injuries. 2 sets of 10 reps per side. The 4th exercise addresses something most people ignore until pain forces them to pay attention: mobility work. Specifically, loaded stretching for your hips and thoracic spine. Your hip flexors and hip rotators control almost every lower body movement you make. Sitting for 8 hours daily shortens these muscles, pulling your pelvis into anterior tilt and creating that excessive arch in your lower back. The result is chronic tightness, limited range of motion, and eventually, pain. 90-90 stretches target both internal and external hip rotation simultaneously. Sit on the floor with one leg bent 90 degrees in front, the other bent 90 degrees to the side. Both knees touch the ground if you have full mobility. Most people can't get close initially. That's fine. Lean forward over your front shin, feeling the stretch deep in your hip. Hold for 60 seconds, then switch sides. Do this daily, not twice weekly like strength work, daily. Your hips need consistent input to maintain their range of motion. Add Copenhagen planks for your adductors. Side plank position with your top leg elevated on a bench, holding your body weight on your bottom forearm and the inside of your elevated foot. This fires your inner thigh muscles, which stabilize your pelvis during walking and running. Weak adductors are why so many people develop knee valgus, that inward collapse of the knee that destroys cartilage over time. For thoracic mobility, thread the needle stretches are unmatched. Start on hands and knees, then reach one arm underneath your body, rotating your upper back as your shoulder touches the ground. This opens up the mid-back region that gets locked up from desk work and driving. 10 reps per side daily. The difference between mobile hips and a mobile thoracic spine versus restricted ones isn't subtle. It's the difference between moving freely and feeling like your body fights you with every step. The final exercise ties everything together and builds the explosive power that fades faster than strength as you age. Kettlebell swings. Power is strength multiplied by speed. Research shows power output drops 3 to 4% annually after 50 if you don't train it specifically. Kettlebell swings develop hip power through ballistic hip extension. You're not squatting the weight up, you're hinging at the hips and snapping them forward explosively, using momentum to swing the kettlebell to shoulder height. This trains the same posterior chain as deadlifts, but adds velocity, teaching your muscles to generate force rapidly. Start light, maybe 20 pounds, focusing entirely on the hip snap. Arms stay relatively straight, acting as ropes connecting the kettlebell to your hips. The power comes from your glutes and hamstrings, not your shoulders. 3 sets of 15 swings twice weekly. As the movement becomes natural, increase weight gradually. Swings also build cardiovascular capacity without the joint impact of running. 15 swings with proper intensity will spike your heart rate significantly, training your aerobic system while building power. That dual benefit makes them incredibly efficient. These 5 exercises cover everything your body needs to stay resilient. Posterior chain loading, anterior chain strength, unilateral stability, mobility, and explosive power. Train them consistently through your 40s, and you're building reserves that will sustain you for decades. Skip them, and you're borrowing against a future that will demand payment with interest. The choice you make today echoes 20, 30, and even 40 years into the future. Romanian deadlifts protect your spine. Push-ups build cardiovascular resilience and shoulder health. Single leg work preserves your balance and independence. Mobility training maintains your range of motion. Kettlebell swings develop the explosive power that separates confident movement from cautious shuffling. After 40, you're fighting harder for smaller gains. Hormone levels drop, recovery takes longer, injuries linger, but if you've spent your time building strength, bone density, and movement capacity, you enter your later years from a position of abundance rather than deficit. The aim of the game is to stay in the game. These 5 exercises keep you in it. 2 hours weekly, distributed across 3 or 4 sessions. That's the investment. The return is moving without pain at 70, playing with grandkids at 60, living independently at 80. Start this week. Pick one exercise and own it. Add another next month. Within 6 months, you'll have established patterns that compound into decades of functional strength. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make right now. And if this video helped you, leave a like and subscribe to become part of this community.